This is NASCAR Coast to Coast. 60 minutes of NASCAR local and regional racing talk, interviews, and opinions. Here's Kyle, Rickey, and Buddy Long.
We have a repeat champion in the Southern Modifieds, while the Northern title goes down to the wire this weekend in Thompson. And we talked to one of the biggest stars in dirt racing under the NASCAR banner. Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast for Tuesday, October 13th, 2015. Kyle, Rickey, and Buddy along with you for the next 60 minutes to discuss NASCAR regional and weekly racing. Buddy, we're down to the wire. A lot of big events held this past weekend, but you did some short tracking of your own this weekend back up and home.
Yeah, but it was dirt and it wasn't NASCAR, so I don't think we can talk about it.
There is dirt racing, though. That falls under the NASCAR banner, but I guess yours did not.
There is. No, it's always fun to get back up, just catch some traditional big shows at the end of the year, even up in my neck of the woods, whether it's NASCAR or not. And it was a fun weekend to go up in the mountains of Virginia, West Virginia, and check out the fall foliage. It's starting to really look good. And just have fun with the folks, the family, and enjoy some racing up there. So kept an ear on Charlotte and Martinsville and everything else that I could.
I still might book a ticket.
To Thompson?
To Thompson this weekend.
Here you go.
There are people up there killing me. My parents are like, come on, you know it's your favorite weekend of the year. And all of their advertising and social media posts aren't helping the
no,
cause
it's not.
any.
And I can see your viewpoint. I mean, you know, Stafford just a couple of weekends ago, Thompson now. It's tradition. It's something you've been used to for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
And you hate it because life seems so short. It blows by so fast. You're so busy in everything that you do, and next thing you know, it's 5 years since I've been there to this event. And
We're
it's
three
like,
right
where
now.
did the time go? And, you know, we got to make time, if you can, to get to the events that mean a lot to you. So sometimes it's tough to stop and smell the roses.
Well, you just put up a good case, another good case for me to book a ticket. So,
well, you're going to be back next week?
And maybe we'll see how the weekend goes. And what a battle! I mean, we've talked about it the last couple of weeks now. 4 points, 3 drivers. 150 laps Sunday afternoon at Thompson. 36 drivers on the entry list.
And on paper, obviously, the championship would go right to Doug Coby based off of what we've seen earlier this year with his Thompson success and the last 2 races, obviously, by virtue of what he's been able to do. But if I had to lay odds on it, I'm not laying odds on any of them. I've just figured out whoever I would go with. When I would zig, they would zag. It's anybody's race between Doug Coby, Ryan Preece, and Woody Pitkat. It's going to be a good one.
Be able to watch it on Thursday, October 22nd on NBCSN, or hear about it next week here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Other big news out of Thompson this week. Air Titan will be at Thompson, and you know what that means.
It's going to rain.
No, there won't be a cloud in the sky.
It won't be. Okay, it won't rain, yeah.
It'll be a nice 75-degree cloudless weekend.
That's pretty cool for a short track to get that type of status where the Air Titans are going to be there. That's a huge weekend of racing, obviously. Thompson has a lot of status. Did you have anything to do with that? That's my question.
I did not.
You didn't?
No.
Are you sure? You can claim that if you want.
I'm positive.
I'll back you on it.
I had nothing to do with that.
Okay.
But good for them. Hopefully they don't need to use it, though, but it is good to have there.
Absolutely.
Just in case, with as many different divisions, 15 divisions, I believe 350, 360 race cars on hand during the course of the weekend. A slight shower could really throw off the schedule, and that'll be there. So, also the modifieds down south, they crowned a champion this past weekend. Andy Seiss also came down to the wire.
Yeah, very tight battle, and by losing Hickory Motor Speedway the weekend prior, that really put the pressure on a lot of drivers trying to chase Andy Seiss and get that title.
That happened last Thursday night, Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Fall Brawl?
Fall Ball.
150,
Fall Brawl.
I think was the name of the race. George Brunnhoelzl III won the race. We'll talk to him in a little bit, but we did catch up with the series champion for the second year in a row, Andy Seiss, following the event on Thursday. For the second year in a row, Andy Seiss wins the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Championship. Not the way you wanted to do it here today, though, I'm sure. Kind of bring us through your day. It seems like you struggled from the get-go.
Yeah, it was crazy day. Just didn't unload very good, and at first we blamed the tires. So that kind of forced us to do our mock run on our new practice tires early. That didn't go well. And then we did tune the car in. Our best laps, which are usually in your mock run, our best laps came at lap 70 on those tires. So we knew we had a good long-run car, but then our mock run notes went out the window because we had made so many adjustments. So then when qualifying came, we were far from perfect. And the car was just good on the long run. You know, we lost a lot of ground at the beginning, got the lucky dog, got back up on the lead lap, and did just enough. To say that I wasn't thinking about points and all that, once I got in a position to know that we had it no matter what, and George did everything he possibly could to close the gap. The race definitely took a different head, but we had to pass some cars early on, and we did that and got ourselves in a safe spot, and luckily that's all history now.
Are you surprised we went 149 laps before the first caution flag?
Big time. And, here the track position is so crucial that the restarts are huge, and excuse me, really thought that the restarts were going to help us, and as it looked like it was going to go green and no restarts, it was going to be harder to pass, but luckily we were able to pick up a few spots during those long green flag runs, and our car was just as fast as the leaders. I think at the end it just took a long time to get there, them to fall off, and we didn't fall off as much, but it doesn't much matter. We got the big goal.
Last year, championship won, remembered by the proposal. How are you going to remember this championship here?
Married. Doing it married, and Jen's been amazing. She's been my rock, and we got married in June, a little bit quicker than we ever thought. We figured we'd have a long engagement, but so it's really neat to do this married this time.
Enjoy it. We'll talk to you in December at the annual awards banquet.
Can't wait.
Finished in the 6th spot last week, Thursday night. A tough day for Randy. That was tough for a while because the race went 148 laps caution-free to start the event. So you were trying to count the cars and trying to remember who was on the lead lap and who was a lap down. And there was one point where I didn't think he had it in his graphs.
Yeah, I mean, there are two things that are at play here. Of course, Joaquin had a big impact on deciding this title because Hickory got rained out across the board. They were scheduled to run last Sunday. Last Saturday initially. They moved it to Sunday. There were still lingering effects, and they couldn't get it in. Running Charlotte Thursday night, there's just no room. You couldn't run it the following week. I mean, they just had to cancel it. So George Brunnhoelzl had to do everything he had to do. I mean, he went and got maximum points, but between the rain out of Hickory and losing an entire race and then the point system, and I'm not knocking it at all, it's tight. You got top five. I mean, the first to second, 5-point gap. Second to third, 2-point gap, and then from third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, every position is only a 1-point breakdown. It's tough to catch somebody if you get in the hole early.
And we'll talk to George Brunnhoelzl about that because he did get in the hole early in the season coming up in a little bit. Ryan Preece finished second last Thursday. We'll be running for a title this week at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park in the World Series up north. Was able to catch up with him post-race in Charlotte. Let's talk to Ryan Preece here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the SummerSlam 150 in the books, a second-place finish. What more did you need for that 28 car here tonight?
Either a Z-Link or some more forward drive. George has got that thing going. He definitely, when he would accelerate, his car wouldn't twitch. It would just drive forward, and that's where mine, where he seemed to be a lot better than mine. I would get that twitch, and it would carry it up off, and you can't really have that in these southern races where you don't get a change set. I mean, up north, that's the hot ticket because it's fast, but it's not the way you need it to be here today, and maybe next year I'll have another shot at it.
Who would have thought this race would have gone 149 laps without a caution? What do you think 100 laps into that green flag run as a driver? Early on I might have, but at the same time, being on the outside here, especially with what we had, it didn't seem like it was the way I needed to be. But at lap 60, I'm like, all right, somebody's gonna spin somebody out here at some point. And then we got to lap 100. I'm like, wow, this might actually go green all the way. And then we got those yellow. I think that green-white checker was actually kind of a blessing in a way because of just that long green flag run. It was really hard on my right rear, and you know what? Second place is good. Sucks for Gary, Curb Records, and Menards and everybody, but hopefully we'll come back next time and we'll win. You mentioned going up north. Got to ask you your thoughts about the championship battle this Sunday, Thompson Speedway, the World Series of Racing. I know it's closer than you had hoped, 4 points between the top three, but your thoughts going into what is the closest battle in 15 years? Interesting. It's going to take somebody who's going to win. I mean, whoever wins that race is going to win the championship, and there's no ride-in. So it's going to be pretty hectic. But I have all the confidence in the world with these guys, and I know we got plenty of people coming and plenty of good people that are helping on the car. So we're going to be in good shape. Good luck on Sunday. Thank you, Kyle Rickey. All right, Ryan Preece. Like that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Kyle Rickey.
Yeah. Going for the championship this Sunday at the Thompson World Series of Speedway Racing, right now tied with Doug Coby for the top spot. When we come back, Tommy Lemons Jr. will join us. Obviously, the big winner at the Martinsville Speedway.
He was no lemon.
Some big late model race this weekend.
Something involving a clock.
The Valley Star Credit Union 300 at Martinsville. He won that event. George Brunnhoelzl will talk about his big win in the Southern Slam 150.
/ Fall Brawl. Let's just go ahead and put him up with
We'll go
him.
Southern Slam. And Matt Sheppard. We haven't talked to too many dirt guys, but Matt's been busy this year, won a couple of track championships, including one under the NASCAR banner.
This last year, about this time, we were talking to Stuart Friesen, who did a very good job, and obviously Stuart and Matt are in the same racing circles and very competitive, but very successful, and they have been for so many years. They are the lead pack of the dirt modified world up in the Northeast, and we'll get a chance to see them here in a few weeks when the World Finals comes to Charlotte. So should be some good stuff with Matt coming up.
Talk to Matt coming up here in a little bit on NASCAR Coast to Coast. But when we come back, we'll talk to Tommy Lemons Jr., the winner of the Valley Star Credit Union 300.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
Preserve and protect the appearance of your vehicle with select Armor All products at O'Reilly Auto Parts for $3.99 each. Choose from your favorite Armor All appearance products like glass cleaner, tough stuff, and tire foam for $3.99 each. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Race fans, you know there's nothing like the power, excitement, and sounds of NASCAR. Ever wonder what it would be like to strap yourself in the seat of an authentic NASCAR race car? You can do it at the Richard Petty Driving Experience. Ride along or drive yourself at one of 15 tracks nationwide. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit online at drivepetty.com. Richard Petty Driving Experience. It's authentic NASCAR entertainment. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit drivepetty.com to reserve your experience.
This is NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Here's Kyle and Buddy.
If you missed the Valley Star Credit Union 300 on Sunday afternoon on fanschoice.tv, well, you missed a wild one, and a long one. It was a long afternoon at the Martinsville Speedway, but when all was said and done, Tommy Lemons Jr. picked up the race win, his second win in this prestigious event, holding off Timothy Peters at the checkered flag. He joins us now here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Tommy, welcome back to the show. Congratulations on a long weekend there at the Martinsville Speedway on both Saturday and Sunday, and your second grandfather clock to cap it all off.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. It's good to be back under these conditions, and just still super excited for the win from this past weekend.
Let's talk about the start of the weekend first. Saturday qualifying, group qualifying. Understand there were some timing issues. How frustrating is that as a driver in your shoes especially, that you knew you were probably in that top tier?
It's definitely very frustrating, coming into our biggest race of the year. Us late model guys look at it as our Daytona 500, and, we come in expecting we're putting up the best. We expect the best from NASCAR on the racetrack, but they got it worked out. They had an issue when they were putting in the safer barriers back in the spring, and they cut a wire and didn't realize it. And they got it fixed Sunday morning. And didn't have quite the issues that we had Saturday, but there's definitely something that shouldn't have happened, but it did. So we just had to deal with it.
It was an event that obviously took a long time to find the checkered flag, dating all the way back to the previous weekend when the event was prematurely postponed because of the effects of Hurricane Joaquin that was coming in, sent you guys home and forced you back for another weekend, which obviously in hindsight was a very smart decision. As Kyle mentioned, you come away with your second victory at the Martinsville Speedway. This is unheard of. When you talk about it, as you mentioned, the Daytona 500 for late model stock car drivers, it's clearly the best of the best. And I know you didn't run as much this year as you did or have in previous years, but it's really a tough feat when you think about it and look back in retrospect to pick up two major victories here at the Martinsville Speedway.
Yes, sir. I think there's only a handful of guys that's been able to win multiple times there, and it definitely puts us in a pretty good category. We're just very fortunate to be there, and thankful for every opportunity we've had. And we scaled back a little bit this year, just trying to get our program better, and we we've had really good runs. We just didn't have the luck to go our way during some of those runs, and finally our luck turned around a little bit this past weekend, and we come out with the victory this weekend.
Bring us through that final green-white checker run to the finish. Lee was up there. Obviously, Timothy Peters side by side, or nearly side by side with you, coming off of turn 4 for the checkered flag.
Yeah, when we come to the cone deal, I didn't realize that Timothy was in third, but we just want to get a good clean restart and try to beat the 16 of R.D. Smith down into the corner, and was able to do that. And Timothy gave us a pretty good push down the back straightaway and helped me clear R.D. But we come off 4 there, and was expecting a shot from Timothy. Who wouldn't when we've got $25,000 on the line and a grandfather clock? Just was expecting it, and just tried to hold on. And I think he ended up getting the worst end of the deal. Unfortunately, his car pretty tore up, but luckily he walked away. It was a pretty hard hit from the videos I've seen and from talking to everybody. He's pretty lucky not to have been hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. A very strong hit off the inside wall when he came off of turn number 4. Lee Pulliam coming home second in the event, our 2015 NASCAR Whelen All-American Series champion. By virtue of that, winning the Virginia Triple Crown, by virtue of the victories at Langley, South Boston, and at Martinsville Speedway. So we got the $10,000 bonus. R.D. Smith, as you mentioned, came home third. Timothy got fourth, although he's got a wrecked race car, unfortunately, and Travis Swain the top 5. When you look at this race over the history, it looks like it just continues to grow. I know there had been some issues with the scoring loops and some challenges over the weekend, and when you have all these competitive spirits that are in the pits together from all different sections of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast and different parts of the country, you're going to have a lot of challenging times out there on the racetrack through qualifying, your heat races, and the main event, but it just appears as though this event continues to gain massive momentum.
Yeah, it really has. From the competitor standpoint, it's been a little off the past few years, but I think that's just due to the economy. But as far as the spectators and their side of it, I'm not sure exactly the number this year, but I know last year was probably one of the strongest crowds I've seen there in a long time. And that's what the sport needs. We need fans to turn out, so the racers can afford to race, and the racetracks can afford to pay the racers to race. But all in all, Martinsville does an excellent job for the most part on everything on their behalf, and we just can't thank them enough for giving us a place to race at once a year. And I said it someday, if I could only race once a year, that would be the race I'd want to run. So us as competitors, we really look forward to that weekend, and we put a lot into it.
But you do race more than once a year, although scaled back this year. You finished 4th in the final championship standings at Motor Mile, a track that predominantly runs twin features, so you don't run as many nights during the summer, but almost as many events. 15 for you this year. You picked up a win back on August 8th. How would you summarize your season, 1, and 2, why did you scale back your schedule just a bit? Because we're used to seeing you up there challenging for the national titles.
Yeah, we didn't run all the races at Motor Mile this year. We elected to travel a little bit more, just trying to get our name out there. We'd like to do some driver development and other things of that nature, and just trying to get a little bit more experience at other tracks we haven't been to. And we cut back on the number of events, but we probably run almost as many weekends. We didn't run quite as many NASCAR weekends where we run twin events about every night. We run with them, but we run the Cars deal, which has turned out to be a pretty good series for the late model guys and some of the super guys to run in the Southeast. And just looking forward to the next few weekends coming up. We're off for a few weeks, but then we got the Cars finale at Hickory, and I think we got a race at Myrtle Beach that we're looking forward to. So, we cut back just to try to make our program better.
Yeah, and I believe the Myrtle Beach lock-in race is, this upcoming weekend. Hopefully the weather has gotten better for them, or the after effects of it. I know that the Myrtle Beach area was hit pretty hard with quite a bit of rain from Hurricane Joaquin as well. So you kind of answered a little bit of the questions with regards to the tail end of the 2015 season. What's 2016 looking like for you? Are you kind of going to follow the same path that you did this season, special events only here or there, or are you going to ramp it up a little bit more?
We really haven't determined the 2016 schedule yet. I'm still waiting on all the event schedules to come out, so we'll know what we have our options for, and we'll probably stay kind of like we did this year. Me and my wife are expecting our first kid in about 27 days, I believe, and that's definitely going to change life. It's going to change it for the better, but it might scale racing back a little bit, but it's just part of life.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you about that. You and Laura expecting your first child, I believe, this month? You said to 27 days, so I guess that's this month or early next month. So I'm sure that's taking a lot of your time away from the race car and getting things set for your new arrival.
Yeah, I definitely hadn't had 100% focus for my end on the race car. I'm definitely having to get a lot of stuff squared away at home, but luckily I've got some really good guys in the shop that bust their tail week in and week out, and all the guys that go to the races with us, just can't thank them enough for all their support and understanding for me slacking off a little bit.
Well, congratulations again. Made the most of a great weekend at the Martinsville Speedway this past weekend, winning the Valley Star Credit Union 300. Best of luck to you the rest of the year on the racetrack and off the racetrack in fatherhood as well, and we'll talk to you once again coming up soon.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for having me on.
Tommy Lemons Jr. joining us here, the big winner at the Martinsville Speedway over the weekend over Lee Pulliam, Artie Smith, Timothy Peters, and Travis Swaim. A good field of cars. Great racing, great weather, great crowd. Watching it, though, on Fans' Choice from the NASCAR Sprint Cup event, not a fan of, and again, I wasn't there, so I can't really talk a whole lot about this, but just watching the delays between Heat 3 and the qualifying races, about an hour. And then from the end of the qualifying race to the start of the feature, I think we ran about half of the Cup race at Charlotte on Sunday afternoon. So a lengthy delay. Went out, did Victory Lane, did everything 2 through, talked to all the drivers 2 through 5, came back in, and they were only on like lap 15 or something like that. So it's like, that's late, a late day for a day where you're already pushing up against sunset.
Yeah. And I guess it's kind of tough in one sense when that is the only group that's there.
Right.
You don't have filler. You don't have another group that's coming out, another division or whatever that can eat up some of that time until you get to that point. So that is one of the downsides to being the only game in town at a racetrack when you have to give them X amount of time before they get to the next stage of their program on that day. So, hopefully that isn't a killer for a lot of people because it is a great event. It's well worth going to. So hopefully that will continue to gain some good momentum.
Look forward to the next edition next year at the Martinsville Speedway. In fact, the trucks and cup cars will be there in just a couple of weeks to continue their busy month of motorsports in Martinsville. When we come back, we're going to talk about the start of a busy week of racing in Charlotte. Started with the modifieds, the Southern Slam 150 last Thursday night. George Brunnhoelzl III will be with us to talk about it when we come back.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Buckle up, NASCAR Nation, for the ultimate driver tell-all. NASCAR After the Lap, sponsored by Ford and Sprint, is back for a 7th year in Vegas. See the 16 challengers in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, live on stage at the Palms in Las Vegas, December 3rd. Don't miss this unforgettable must-see event of the year. Visit NASCARAfterTheLap.com to purchase tickets. That's NASCARAfterTheLap.com.
This is NASCAR Can-Am Pro Series East driver Gray Gaulding, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
All right, thank you very much, Gray. One of those drivers looking to be a part of that NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race at Martinsville Speedway later this month. Welcome back. Want to talk about the NASCAR Southern Modified Tour now. They concluded their 2015 campaign this past Thursday night at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Southern Slam 150. And taking down the win was George Brunnhoelzl III. Unfortunately, George, you fell just a couple of points short of the championship. Some say 2 points, some say 3 points. We'll go with NASCAR's official results with 3, but a close battle. Nevertheless, let's first talk about the race. 148 laps to start that thing. Green flag laps only. No cautions came out. Did that surprise you at all?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. And it was very shocking to go 148 laps without a caution. That was the furthest thing from my mind at the start of that race.
Well, we've talked about the schedule that you guys have, 11 races. Actually, it was 10 this year, unfortunately, due to the rain out at Hickory last weekend. But we've talked so many times to you and so many other drivers. Do you have a chance for a mulligan? Do you have a chance for one bad finish? And when you look at how things transpired, and nobody will ever know what happened, what could have happened to come out of Hickory, you really don't. You really don't have that opportunity unless other drivers that are around you have a mulligan as well and give you a chance to even things back up the way the point system works.
Yeah, I mean, with the Southern Tour schedule as short as it is, you have to be on point every race. You can't come back from having problems. To come back as far as we did was, to be honest with you, surprising to myself. After the way our season started, I mean, we got to the halfway point, and at that point, I never would have suspected that we could have come back to a second place, let alone have a shot at the championship.
4 finishes outside of the top 10, 2 of those outside of the top 15. What were some of the hiccups at the beginning of the season? A 16th at Caraway to begin the year, and then you go back to Caraway and finish 11th, and then your worst finish of the year, 18th at South Boston. That was the first 3 races.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough start to the year. We had some part failure at the very first race where, surprisingly enough, something never seen before, but we had literally broken a rear end. The left side bell literally just broke in half without any type of contact or anything. So that was something that you never really see and probably won't see again, but took us out of contention there, and we were actually leading the race. So that really hurts. Then the second Caraway race, we started out the year with and finished the year with a new design Troyer TA2 chassis. It's a totally different concept, and Troy did a great job with it, but like anything else, there's some learning curves that go on with it. And second race of the year, we had some of the rear suspension bind up on it, which was our own fault, just not knowing it, not having to learn it all such a short period of time. And then going to South Boston, we just I think we were running second or third at the time and got caught up in an accident. Lap car spun in front of us and collected both me and the Indy.
And I know there's not a statement that drivers or athletes like to say it was a good moral victory, finishing second in the Tour Series points. But as Kyle just alluded to, the amount of finishes early in the season outside the top 10, coupled with losing an entire event due to weather, you guys have got to feel pretty good. You gained maximum points on Thursday night to do everything you had to do. But I guess my question there is, when you were out there, knowing that you still relatively had a shot to win this title, as did about 4 other drivers, were you just totally focused on doing what you had to do, staying out front and being the leader, winning the race, getting the maximum points? Or was there a small part of you during the course of this race kind of curious or asking somebody, where's the 11 car at? Where is he at? Because Kyle and I were alluding to that early in the broadcast, that he did pretty much what he had to do to win this championship, which finished in the 6th position, but going a couple more spots back, it would have been a different story.
Yeah, going into the race, we knew we had to not necessarily sit on the pole, but lead the most laps and win the race. So we went there with one mindset, and that was to do that and gain the max points that we could. And unfortunately, anything else was out of our control, which indeed it was. But we did what we set out to do for that particular race, and came close, but just little short. I knew Andy, not that he struggles, but that's not one of his better tracks, so I knew we could potentially make up some points, just not enough right there at the end.
Looking over the long term, the last 6 years in this series, 4 championships, 2 second-place finishes, incredible stats. The last half decade or so in the Southern Modified Tour, what's been the key to that success and being able to maintain a championship contending team and yourself as a driver these last six seasons, and before that when you picked up your first title?
It's really just a testament to the team I have behind me and the guys and my sponsors, Dunleavy's Truck and Trailer, Composite Technologies, Mobile Speed Unlimited. It's just everybody. It's a team effort. All the guys, they've been phenomenal on pit road. We have unbelievable pit stops. We've been known to beat everybody off pit road, so it's just a whole team sport where it goes right down to them. They've won races for me, getting me off pit road first, so it's hard to pinpoint any one thing that's really kept us in contention for the past 6 years, but it's a whole lot of everything.
It's also one of those deals when Georgie gets hot, look out, there's no stopping them. It's just like a train that's just out of control. You guys find a way to put everything together and just are very unbeatable when you guys get on that roll. Now, being a resident veteran of this program, I know this year there was some changes to the schedule. We didn't have Caraway so much as our flagship track. We talked about them, it seemed like every other series race, and I say that very affectionately. We love Caraway. You have the traditional 2 or 3 races at the beginning of a year. Then you have the big layoff. Bowman Gray gets into action. You're one that doesn't do the Bowman Gray deal. You guys pretty much just sit back, take care of business, getting everything ready for the next tour event. There was a change of some of the schedule and the venues. Were you satisfied with that, even though you didn't get to run at Hickory, but the style of the schedule this year, were you pretty happy with it?
I mean, the style of schedule is just something we've come to learn to live with. The big break off during the summer when Bowman Gray runs is tough as a race team when we focus just on the tour, because any momentum or any just not doing it for such a long period of time, when you start again, it's almost like starting your very first race of the season again. So that you kind of get accustomed to. Schedule was good. I definitely would like to see some more races, and especially, obviously, always looking back, it's easier to say, but Hickory being rained out was definitely detrimental to our trying comeback for the championship.
You mentioned a moment ago your pit crew and how instrumental they have been, especially this year, the first full season where we have seen live pit stops. Before this year, and I guess the second half of last year is when it was implemented, but before that, you guys traditionally had a halfway break. How big has that been for the series as a whole, having live pit stops, very similar to what we see up north on the Northern Tour?
Yeah, I think it helps the series as a whole, just being that it brings the crews in, gets them more involved, which is, I mean, we're all doing this at this level for fun, so it allows the crew members and everybody to have an equal hand in the race and have fun. I think it puts on a better show for the fans because it does bring in a little pit strategy to the races. And I think all in all, it does help as a whole. Hopefully gets the fans more involved. They like it, and obviously the more fans we get, the better racing it is, and we can go higher and more races.
4 times a champion, as Kyle mentioned a few moments ago. You've pretty much done everything you can in this Whelen Southern Modified Tour, including, even though you finished second this year, being a part of the closest finish in series history with only a 3-point gap between yourself and Andy. Are there still things that you see out there that you haven't accomplished on this tour, whether it be a victory at a certain racetrack or a performance here or there that we're hopefully going to see in 2016 from you?
I can't per se pinpoint any one specific thing. I mean, of course, we're always striving for another championship. That's the main goal. And like any other racer, we'd like to hold records in every classification for race wins, most poles, most championships. So there's always room to strive for that. And keep learning. That's the biggest thing. You just got to learn each race you're out there and be better the next time you come back.
Your season now, is it complete? I know there's a lot of postseason big events coming up. We have the World Series this weekend at Thompson. You have the North-South Shootout down here at Concord next month. Will you partake in any further activity this year, or are you done for the season?
We'll run the shootout.
Okay.
We'll be at Concord for the North-South Shootout, definitely.
Good to have that race back at a facility like Concord, where that race was born, 12 years ago now?
Yes, it's a great decision on Darren and Russell Hackett to go back to Concord just because it's a unique track, so it does draw the extra car count and better racing just because it is something different. It's something special. So it intrigues a lot of the northern guys to travel down because it's not a textbook oval. It's something special, and it being in the South, but we don't, as the Southern Tour, we don't run there, so it's a little bit more of an even playing ground than when we go to Caraway.
Well, it's good to see Concord back on the schedule for not only the North-South Shootout. Other events have happened during the course of this year for different sanctioning bodies, and glad to have them back. But you hit the nail on the head. That is a very unique racetrack. How do you guys go about tackling that track as far as a setup is concerned?
It's very different. Not only is the track itself different from anywhere else we run, but that track itself from one end to the other is different. So it's a very unique challenge to get the car right, to go there, and then to get it right or compromise from turns 1 and 2 to turns 3 and 4, and just make the best compromise you can to have the all-around best race car. But it's definitely a different setup than what you'd go to a Caraway or South Boston with, for sure.
A fast track, could be at times a scary racetrack, no doubt. There's been some pretty big incidents there with the modifieds over the years. Hopefully we're clean and green this year for the North-South Shootout. Best of luck to you at that race next month, and congratulations on the win last Thursday at Charlotte and nearly getting that 5th championship, but we'll be watching you in 2016 to see if you can get it done then.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
George Brunnhoelzl III picking up the final race checkered flag victory, whatever I'm trying to say, that last Thursday night at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That North-South Shootout's going to be fun, but that racetrack, scary fast. He mentioned turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. He neglected to mention that fast dog leg on the backstretch.
Yeah, it's been crazy. We've had a chance to go out there over the years and see some good late model competition. And like I said, it's so good to have Concord back. I mean, back in the day, they had what was called the Big Ten Series, very popular late model series. It is where a lot of NASCAR stars have been born. Ernie Irvin being one of them. He was one of the drivers that was out there. We know that Freddie Query has had a great career in NASCAR racing, not only as a driver, I think as a crew chief as well. Terry Brooks has been another one. There's a list of different drivers. I can't pull them all out. Jack Sprague, another one that started there and had a very good Camping World Truck Series race career. So it's a great track. Glad to see it back to life.
Going to be fun. Next month, the North-South Shootout for the Modifieds here in North Carolina, in Concord, North Carolina. And, I love Caraway, but there's not a whole lot to do up in Sophia, North Carolina. When you're in Concord, you have the entire NASCAR industry down here for a lot of these teams to go visit. They can go to the Hendricks and the Roush Fenways and the Ganassys. There's a lot to do here in Charlotte, Concord being just a few miles away. So it'll be an interesting weekend coming up, no doubt, in a couple of weeks from right now. When we come back, we're going to talk dirt track racing, and this year's track champion at Utica Rome Speedway, Matt Sheppard, joins us after the break.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
This Wednesday night, join the Motor Racing Network for MRN 360. It's a full circle look at the sport of NASCAR, hosted by Steve Post. This one-hour show will take you from the track into the lives of your favorite drivers.
Can't guarantee anything. That's why we run the race.
Even the fans have a voice on MRN 360.
Personally, the guy doesn't belong in NASCAR. I think he's too hot-headed.
It's MRN 360 this Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
This is NASCAR Wheeling Southern Modified driver Jason Myers, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
All right, thank you very much, Jason. Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast. Want to talk dirt track racing, something that we don't get to do as much as we want.
I got dirt in my beer over the weekend, though.
You did?
Well, my soda.
Were you at a dirt modified race, though?
No.
Unfortunately,
Late
no.
models.
However, Matt Sheppard was. We'll talk about that big race here coming up in a little bit, a part of Super Dirt Week, but he's also had a very successful season at Utica Rome Speedway, one of the few NASCAR-sanctioned dirt tracks that we are able to talk about during the course of the year, and he joins us now on the guest line as the big champion. 9 wins, 16 top 5s, 18 top 10s, a huge year for Matt over at Utica Rome. Matt, congratulations on the track championship, and as a first-timer, welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Big season for you. I want to talk about Utica Rome first, then we'll talk about a busy race weekend for you this past weekend at Super Dirt Week. But talk about your year at Utica Rome, a very competitive division there. 9 different winners over the course of the 19 events, holding off Larry Wright, Pat Ward, Vic Coffey, all very familiar names to the dirt racing world for that championship.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we kind of caught fire there at Utica Rome this year and just had a tremendous year. A lot of competition. Of course, the handicapping we do with our starting, start in the back every night and get to the front, and just had a really good race car there this year. Unfortunately, Mother Nature didn't cooperate a lot this year, so we didn't get as many races in there as we wanted in the big scheme of the NASCAR picture, but feels great to bring home my first NASCAR championship.
As Kyle mentioned, it's been a very big season and a very big week. Just recently happening, the latest edition of Super Dirt Week up at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse. They have been in the limelight as far as, I should say spotlight, not limelight, as far as its future. Obviously, that was determined most recently that this would be indeed the final event of the New York State Fairgrounds. There is work to be done to obviously get the track that is supposed to be the replacement track for this event built and ready to go for the 2016 edition. But before we get into that a little bit, let's just go back to your Syracuse. You're a 2009 winner of that event, which has got to be just huge in your mind. But in addition to that being your final event over the weekend, you also ran the colors and the scheme that your dad had run for many years as well. That had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a real special event for us. Fortunately, my car owner, Al Hankey, came up to me before the event and told me if I wanted to do a throwback, he'd allow that. And, I just thought of my dad. He's been so important to my racing career. I wanted to kind of pay tribute to him. And, we had a great week. Everything was looking really good. We were leading the race with 30 to go, and unfortunately some electrical issues knocked us out, and that was a real heartbreaker for us.
Was that for the most part, the theme of the weekend? Everybody reminiscing on the past, obviously this being the last Super Dirt Week at the Moody Mile. Did you get a sense of that in the infield and just around the fairgrounds in general?
Yeah, I mean, the entire place was just electric all week long. More people than I can remember actually stayed right till Monday. Place was just jam-packed with fans and competitors, just trying to get that one last Super Dirt weekend. And, it hit a lot of people really hard that was the last time they were going to be there.
I believe they honored a lot of champions or past winners leading up to the race itself. When you look back at drivers like Gary Ballou, Merv Treichler, so many others, Danny Johnson, Barefoot Bob McCready, so many drivers that have done such a great job there at Super Dirt Week, and of which you were a part of, as we mentioned, taking the 2009 edition. we got to switch gears a little bit because reality hits after the race is over. Your season's not done. You've got a few more events left to go and trying to win that Mr. Dirt Car title. But moving and leapfrogging over that, the announcement made by Glenn Donnelly, who, of course, was a huge figure in the Dirt organization many years back, that his Central New York Raceway Park was going to be ready. The word is, obviously, and we've seen the pictures of him breaking ground, obviously all the topsoil is out of the racetrack. It looks like they're going to be doing a lot of concrete pouring and footings for buildings. But he is scheduled and hoping to have a soft opening for his racetrack as early as May. It looks like there's a lot of work to be done, especially when you're up in the Northeast, you're up in New York, and you're in an area, wintertime, where it's not going to be very kind. That could delay quite a bit of construction. What are your thoughts and what have you heard with regards to the progress of this new racetrack and whether it's going to be ready by the latest edition of Super Dirt Week in 2016?
I've heard the same things you guys have heard, but, I've lived in Central New York my whole life, and, man, that's an awful lot of work to get done in a short amount of time, and, it's not uncommon for us to have a 6-7 month winter, so, man, I don't know, it's pretty ambitious. I guess I'm just going to sit back and wait and see what happens. A lot of work to be done in a short amount of time.
And if it does, and we anticipate it happening and being ready for next year, it'll be interesting to see how successful it is. It's hard to break one tradition and start or try to keep the same tradition going at a different facility. That'll be tough to do, but hopefully it is successful, and I'm sure it will be. It might take a couple of years to grow. Let's talk about your season as a whole. We talk about Utica Rome. You picked up the track championship there, but you have found a lot of success at other racetracks, including Canandaigua Motorsports Park, another track up there in New York. And what has your season looked like? How many races have you run, and obviously picked up a couple of track championships along the way?
Yeah, we actually, we run Brunnhoelzl weekly on Friday nights, Canandaigua weekly on Saturday nights, and Utica Rome weekly on Sunday nights. We picked up the championship at all three tracks. We have won 27 races.
Wow.
We're currently leading the Super Dirt Car Series. The series as a whole, we've had a lot of ups and downs. We've won 4 races, had a lot of good runs. We've also had some nights we've been off. But, we've probably run 75 to 80 races this year and been fortunate enough to pick up 27 wins. It's been a really, really great year for us so far. I guess, these next 5 or 6 races going into the overall championship down at Charlotte is really what's gonna decide whether we had a really good year or a phenomenal year.
Well, and you mentioned how often you guys run. It starts all the way back in February going to Volusia Speedway Park for the Winter Nationals. Everybody that's anybody in racing, whether it's modifieds, sprint cars, late models, or whatever, that's where you guys start. Have a couple of events left to go before you do get to Charlotte. October the 17th, the 7th Annual Fall Nationals at Brockville, Ontario. That's this weekend. Then next weekend, you head to Weedsport, New York, a track that you have won at a couple of times this year. And then the World Finals at Charlotte. But like you said, a very good points battle between yourself, Brett Hearn, and Stuart Friesen right behind you. And I've got to bring Stuart into this because there was a great interview and article for both of you in Area Auto Racing News last week as part of the Super Dirt Week edition, where you guys have such a competitive spirit amongst each other. And when you were talking about the 27 victories, the only driver in the Northeast that's got you is Stewart with 32, of course, which you know. But you guys have got a pretty good relationship as competitive spirits out on that racetrack, and it was very interesting to read about how you take different approaches based off the teams you run for and what you have as far as your equipment is concerned. It was really good.
Yeah, it was. We definitely take different approaches. We race different racetracks, different series, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, we want to go out and win races. And like I said, we've won a bunch of them this year. He's been dabbling in the sprint cars and won a bunch of sprint car races. But I got to believe we're about dead even or within a win in the actual modifieds. So I mean, he picked up the big win at Syracuse. Of course, how fitting that I'm leading the race and I have trouble and he ends up winning it. It's been that type of year. It seems like we've both been winning a lot of races all over the place, and not much to be said about that, or there's a lot to be said about that. But as far as the championship, it's still going to go down to the end between me and Brett and Billy Decker. I mean, Stewie's not really in the picture. He doesn't. I think he missed a few dirt car series races, so he's kind of out of the picture. But definitely going to be a good 3-car battle going to the end.
Just a couple of weekends ago, reading an article, promoter Jim Shea at Utica Rome Speedway had to do a little bit of schedule modifying. There was scheduled to be a World of Outlaws sprint car race at the track, but because there were so many other special events, I guess, that were peppered around Utica Rome Speedway and also around, I guess, that date, he felt it was best that they not do it. If, I guess, World Racing Group wanted to run the event, come in and do it, they could. I think eventually Weed Sports Speedway took that event, but in further dialogue in that conversation, Jim had said he just hopes in the future that other racetracks, such as a Brewerton, maybe a Fulton or Canandaigua or whatever, may come on board as a NASCAR-sanctioned track because there's such a great benefit between the points fund and the insurance program that NASCAR provides. He's really been happy with that program, and I know you run so much between the dirt organization and trying to win the dirt title, but also now winning a NASCAR championship at that racetrack. Would you like to see another companion NASCAR track coming in that area?
I would. It would definitely, the point funds are phenomenal and everything is great, but for a guy like myself who had a really good year at Utica Rome, if I had one more track I could have a really good year at, it'd give me a shot, put me up there in the national standings, and I'd like that opportunity. It'd be great to, get two tracks to choose from, and just gather up some more points and win, and really be able to be a contender in the national deal.
Well, we saw what an additional track did for Thomas Tillotson Jr. this year in Oklahoma on dirt, just missing that national championships. And it would definitely be interesting to see if you had a second track up in your region of the country, if you too would be up there with the Lee Pulliams and the Keith Roccos and the Ryan Priestes and Thomas Tillotsons of the world. But a great year nevertheless, 3 track championships, 1 under the NASCAR banner, and looking for that dirt title here coming up in Charlotte next month. Matt, thanks for joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Best of luck to you the rest of the season.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Matt Sheppard joining us. I thought we were listening to Slinging Dirt there for a little bit with David Stremme and Ashley Stremme, because that's their wheelhouse.
Yes, yeah.
The dirt modifieds and the dirt late models every Tuesday here on the Motor Racing Network. When we come back, a busy weekend ahead. We've already talked a little bit about the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour Championship race this weekend at the Thompson Speedway up in Connecticut. But the NASCAR K&N West, they're back on track this weekend as well. We'll talk about it next.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
A dead battery can leave you stranded, so get yours tested for free during Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Need a replacement? Purchase a Superstart Extreme or Superstart Platinum battery and get up to $25 in O'Reilly gift cards after a mail-in rebate. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
This is NASCAR K&N Pro Series East driver Jay Beasley, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to you, Kyle and Buddy.
All right, thank you very much, Jay. Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. A busy weekend of racing ahead for NASCAR's Modifieds and the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West. They're back in action this Saturday, I believe. The Napa Auto Parts Toyota 150 at the All-American Speedway in Roseville, California. Great entry list, 28 strong, and some new faces.
Yeah, Harrison Burton. We just got the word that one of the top younger late model stock car drivers in the Southeast is going to be making a run for his dad, Jeff Burton Motorsports, running out there, so that should be good. He's been very accomplished, and when I was looking, I've seen him run, and actually when I was down in New Smyrna during the Coke Zero Florida weekend, I had to get it out. I was trying to remember what it was. He was running that event. That was one of the first times I got to see Harrison run. But looking at his stats, most of his accomplishments have been from the ages of 11 to 14 in stock car competition. It's just phenomenal. I'm waiting for a late model driver at the age of 9 to be the next one we hear about.
Give it time. Give it time. So he'll be making his debut this weekend. And Bill McAnally Racing's coming with a fleet of cars. Brennan McReynolds, Chris Eggleston, of course, they are their series regulars, joined by Eddie Cheever III, who we've talked to in years past on the NASCAR Euro Series, Cole Moore, who's brand new to the series, and Blaine Perkins, another new driver, making his debut here this weekend. So a race that's going to be stacked with veteran talent and a lot of young talent and a lot of young inexperience.
And a very tight points battle going into that one again with Noah Gragson and Chris Eggleston separated by just a scant few points. And that could be the fly in the ointment. The next two events are going to have to get used to that. They knew at Phoenix it was going to be a lot of competition that they weren't, they were anticipating coming from the East now that their schedule is done. So these next two races are really going to be tough.
16 points separate the top four in the championship. Noah Gragson, the point leader by 2 over Chris Eggleston. 8 points back in third, Ryan Partridge. And then Grayson Raz is fourth in points, 16 out of the lead. David Mayhew, I think, is mathematically eligible, 36 out, but it's going to be tough for him to have a shot at the championship when we go to Phoenix International Raceway. But it sounds like we're going to have a full car count because half of the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East, it sounds like, will be in Phoenix, and that race will be live here on the Motor Racing Network on that Thursday evening.
Yeah, looking forward to it indeed. Locally, I guess, more regionally, there is some action coming up this weekend. We mentioned Myrtle Beach Speedway earlier. The lock-in event for the Myrtle Beach 400, which I believe is November 2nd through 4th, they have a lock-in race coming up this weekend. Now, we mentioned due to the heavy rain from Hurricane Joaquin, they had to cancel a previous race from another touring series, so hopefully they'll be back in action this weekend and everything is good to go.
Final NASCAR event, we believe, for Irwindale Speedway, may be taking place this weekend. Obviously, a track with an uncertain future. October 17th will feature the track's super stocks, the late models, and the super late models. They're done for the season. They've already crowned their champions. Also on the west side of the country, Jason Davis won the Pro Stock main event over the weekend at Tucson Speedway in Arizona. Brandon Schilling won in the late models. Bill Engel in the modifieds. Their championship night is set for October 24th.
I-80 Speedway in Nebraska had the Cornhusker Classic over the weekend. Hunter Marriott took the A-Mod win. Chris Abelson, the B-Mod winner. Saw that Flint Creek ran. They had their Fall Classic over the weekend. Yep. The A-Mod winner ended up being, if I can turn the page, was Jason Hughes.
There you go.
Thomas Tillison was a no-show. He said, heck with it. I haven't won that. I'm done for the
year. He's got his championships.
La
Crosse Speedway, they ran their big Oktoberfest weekend this past weekend, and Ty Majeski won the Big 8 Invitational for the track's late models. Dan Fredrickson won the Oktoberfest 200 to conclude their season. And at Thompson this weekend, Woody Pitkat could do something pretty special, and that's win 3 championships, including the track championship at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park in the modified division. He now has a 14-point lead over Keith Rocco. Could also win the NASCAR Modified Championship, just 4 points back, and could win the Valente Modified Racing Series Championship, which will crown their champion on Saturday.
Pretty impressive. Monadnock Speedway over the weekend, Super Saturday for Modifieds. Keith Carzello took the win. Also a note, Airborne Park Speedway, Plattsburgh, New York. That track is up for sale now. The reason being, Steve Fuller, Jamie Atkins, and Mike Bruno have other commitments, obviously, to family and other full-time businesses. They want to keep it as a motorsports facility. And Airborne Park was another track, I believe, that some of the Modifieds ran at, different touring series. So we wish them the very best.
We could buy a racetrack. I'm just saying. All right, I want to thank Tommy Lemons Jr., George Brunnhoelzl III, and Matt Sheppard for joining us on the show today. For Robbie Mays on graphics and Craig Moore is our producer. For Buddy Long, I'm Kyle Rickey. We'll see you back here next Tuesday on MRN.com.
You've been listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast. Tune in next Wednesday at 1 Eastern for more talk from local tracks all over America. NASCAR Coast to Coast is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. NASCAR Coast to Coast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.